What's going on, everyone? So if you were here yesterday for my other video where, Sentinel 1 was impacted and Trump was definitely doing a lot of things that are not making too much sense. And I mentioned briefly that, if computer parts and equipment, hardware, and things like that are just getting out of hand expensive, people are not going to be able to afford to upgrade, buy new things, and, continue on with technology. So obviously that's an impact. But as of today, not too long ago, something pretty shocking happened. Trump decides to exempt phones, computers, chips, and computer chips from the tariffs, which is insane. Obviously someone's blinking really hard right now because reality is that a lot of the companies that are selling these things are also part of American companies and also allies to the United States. So obviously, if you're going to hurt someone, why are you hurting your own friends, your own, partners, your own family? You don't want to do that, right? So obviously there is a huge incentive for not putting tariffs on specific items. But let's go a little deeper into this. These are the takeaways, which is pretty cool now. They have this whole AI generated thing and just kind of just gives you a cliff note of the entire summary of the article. But let's dive a little deeper. President Donald Trump's administration exempted smartphones, computers, and electronics from its so-called reciprocal tariffs, potentially cushioning consumers from sticker shock while benefiting electronic giants including Apple and Samsung Electronics Co. And the exclusion, published late Friday by U.S. Customs and Borders Protection, narrowed the scope of the levies by excluding the products from Trump's 125% China tariffs, which is an insane percentage. Anything over 50% is pretty crazy at that point, right? So imagine your money growing, over 100% to the dollar, which is a lot of money. And right now, China tariffs and its baseline 10% global tariff on nearly all other countries. So I gave this analogy to my son earlier while we were driving him to Saturday school because he needs to learn. The thing was, I told him, I was like, imagine all your friends and people that trust you and you trust them. All of a sudden, you just told them that, I'm going to have to charge you for you to talk to me and hang out with me. What do you think those friends will say to you, right? And his response was, "You must be crazy. I'm not. That's it. I'm done talking to you. I'm no longer being your friend." And it seems that, even though they may not hate you, they may look for other friends. And in this instance, in this analogy, is that whoever the allies of the United States would probably look for other friends to work with or play with that's free of charge. So just putting that out there. What does this mean for the organizations here in the United States? Meaning they can continue buying their laptops, smartphones, and hard drives, computer processor, memory chips, those popular consumer electronic items. I literally was looking at Micro Center because I wanted to pick up a new CPU and I wanted to make that move quickly before anything else changed, because what the process would be is to eliminate the current inventory that already came in at a particular price. But once the tariff took effect, which was today or yesterday, I think, it would have, last night actually, it would have increased that price ridiculously for any new orders coming in, new shipments. And I'm pretty sure it's a constant flow where items are constantly traveling through the waters and onto the shores and then, being picked up by the local merchants and, shipped to the stores for resale. So my fear was that I didn't want to pay $150. Well, what I was looking at was $150. I didn't want to pay $250, right? Or $300 for something that I could have bought for $150 a week ago. So, obviously that wouldn't sit well with me. And that is just one item. Of course, many organizations or companies are trying to either, one, open, expand, or even just upgrading. They don't want to put that cost because it'll be at a loss, right? You don't want to spend that kind of money. So that's great for the technical industry because this was a huge impact if this was to take place and still be in place. So right now, this is great news for all organizations, but mainly because of IT, cybersecurity. Those are huge. Why? Because GPUs, right? If we're going to advance in the AI sector, we need those GPUs, right? You can outsource the GPU. You can go to a GPU cloud, but they need to inherit that as well into the United States in order to, obviously provide that type of service. So let's keep on going. The products won't be subject to Trump's new tariff. Also include machines used to make semiconductors. That would be important for Taiwan Semiconductors Manufacturing Co., which has announced a major new investment in the U.S. as well as other chip makers. So I know for a fact that Micron, I believe, because I was looking at properties, they were trying to expand the factory in the United States. And one thing is, if the factories that you're trying to build, but you're charging more for the material to build the factories, and they're subject to these same tariffs because it's coming from China, you're kind of screwing yourself over, right? How are you going to build a factory that you have to pay premium tariffs on in order to possibly save money in the future, which will take a long time anyway because it takes time to build these things. So I listened and read a lot about this going on, but the short end of it is that this is great. So hardware, which I love buying, GPUs, I have like a dozen machines at home because I build out these labs. I wanted to make sure that I was safe as far as my retail spending, right, on buying new equipment, new hard drives, new monitors. And that fear has been put a little bit to rest. But because of the uncertainty of the flip-flop of what's going on, I would probably pick up whatever it is that I really need now, and then, kind of wait it out and see what's going on maybe in the next couple of years before I make any major purchases, whether it's a new machine or building out a new machine. So I feel I would have felt a lot for the YouTube channels that I follow that actually buy all these equipment to, these builds that they do, and, for YouTube content videos, but at a premium cost of 145% on the tariffs if that was to be sitting in place. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. This is great news because this alone, I feel like even though there is an existing tariff with China between the United States for certain goods, releasing or omitting a lot of these electronic devices such as phone, computers, hard drives, many semiconductors, chips, and whatnot that pertains to the technology side of things would probably put a lot of organizations at ease. Now, I know there's other companies that may be affected by this, clothing. I believe it was certain things are still going through tariffs, which are like toys and material goods, or not so much necessities. So I don't know. Maybe your toothbrush will be worth $20 by next week. I don't know what the other items are, but as far as this article is concerned, it's mainly the electronic side of things, and I think that it's an essential because who's not using electronics? And because of how efficient and how China is delivering those pieces together and shipping it overseas for consumption, such as in the United States and other countries, these laptops and computers and all these other technology devices is really needed because in order to advance and communicate and do efficient work, we need the tools. So that's pretty much it, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. Hopefully this made any sense. Hit that like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again really soon. Take care.